One advice that I could give to people: when things get really hard, push that to the side, let that build you up, but take that and let it motivate you and surround yourself with incredible people, because the struggle kind of disappears in the background when you're surrounding yourself with all this positive inspiration, people that are, teaching you things that you're like, wow, I want to be there one day. So it makes the process a lot easier. So that's what I did.
Your network is your net worth. Come listen to some of the most successful people I know share invaluable knowledge, stories, and advice in real estate, business, and beyond. This is Weiss Advice. Whether you want to take your business or personal life to the next level, look no further. Welcome back to Weiss Advice. I am your host, Yona Weiss, and I am thrilled to be joined today by Ava Benesocky from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. This, I believe, is our first ever Canadian interviewee. So it is such a pleasure to have you. Ava, how are you today?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me. First ever Canadian. Well, this is an honor.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's not so often we talk about, because we're focused on real estate, and I'd say the vast majority of our listeners, at least according to the Buzzsprout stats that we get of listeners per country, like over 90% are in the United States. So I think but it's fair. But I think what you're doing in kind of incorporating Canada into the US in terms of real estate, which we're going to get to shortly, is just incredible. So it makes a lot of sense to have you on the show. So first of all, for a little bit of context, Ava is the co-founder and co-CEO of Canadian Passive Investing, CPI, which is with her partner, August Beniaz, who they together founded this because they're both in the real estate industry for years. She's been a real estate broker in British Columbia for close to 10 years, doing a lot of deals, not just single families, but also, some commercial properties, and found that through, like a lot of us, like a lot of the listeners here, multifamily syndication is a great tool, not only to build wealth, but it's a great tool to attract investors, and especially in the United States, the multifamily markets are awesome. So we're going to get into that. We're going to do a deep dive into, what's the why behind that. But first, let's hear from our sponsors, but there's actually no sponsorship. So I just want to give a little quick shout out to, where did this idea come from between you and August to found this in the first place?
Yeah, I love this. And being a Canadian, I just want to say that we're actually stating ourselves as the 51st state. So this is kind of something that we're playing around with. We're the 51st state now, it all goes back, as being a real estate agent here in Canada. People always come to me for cash flow. People always come to me and they have money to put somewhere. They don't know where to put it. But I have to say, in Canada, the syndication process is super foreign. First of all, just to buy one apartment, you're usually going to be in the negative cash flows. The prices are so expensive here in Canada, and the numbers just don't quite make sense. When you do a multifamily opportunity here, you're definitely in the negatives for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. You have to very, very deep pockets. So there's not a lot of opportunity here. So when we started diving in deep to the syndication process in the US, where you can partner together with investors, and you can purchase multifamily assets and start receiving cash flow right away. On top of that, get incredible annual returns over the course of a certain period. We were just absolutely excited about it. And we're like, hey, we need to let Canadians know about this.
Yeah, and it's almost a no-brainer when you start to think about it, because investment opportunities, anyone who has a certain amount of net worth and has some sort of cash flow, some sort of high-paying job, they want to put that money to work. And for a lot of people, it's kind of relegated to Wall Street or to funds, and I'm sure there's something similar in the Canadian Stock Exchange. There are things that you can invest in, these type of things, but there's usually not such high returns, and there's not a lot of opportunities out there for great cash flow, like you said, cash flow returns. Real estate for sure is everywhere, and I'm sure you saw investors making money in buying single families or doing fix and flips and those type of things. But here's an opportunity for someone to passively invest where they wouldn't have had that opportunity before.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing I wanted to kind of touch on, my parents are accountants, and they are so good with their money. They've taught me a lot. One thing that they didn't teach me is this alternative investments.
Mm.
Get your money working for you while you're doing what you love. And that's what I'm passionate about now. I'm like, okay, I want to spread the word that you can still do what you love. We work with a lot of busy professionals, doctors, lawyers, accountants, and you still can do what you love, but let your money work for you in the back end. And now the one thing about Canadians is it was so foreign. This alternative investment is so foreign. This, it's really, really cute. A lot of people are, this is too good to be true. And I
Right.
kind of tell them about this alternative investment that we're bringing to Canada now. And it's really fun what we've done is we started a thought leadership platform so that we can educate the fellow Canadians, bring on our lawyers, bring on accountants to kind of discuss how everything works. A huge thing that I think I was telling you about is when Canadians invest into the US, there's double taxation if they don't have the system set up properly. So what we've done to kind of relieve the pain point of double taxation is through, of course, a web of corporations and limited partnerships. We've made this possible. So not only do you passively get to invest into incredible diamonds in the rough, is what I call them in the States, but you also don't have to worry about the double taxation. So we're hitting a lot of pain points for our Canadians.
Right.
And really exciting. And I noticed that we're getting a lot of attention throughout Canada now. We did not reinvent the wheel whatsoever. But what we thought is, okay, how can we do this but make it a little bit better? One really cool thing that we did, which ties into me being a realtor for 10 years, and this is a close place in my heart, is retail investors or non-accredited investors. I noticed throughout private equity here and everywhere, you have to be an accredited investor to get involved into these kind of alternative investments. So of course, what we've done is we've opened the doors to non-accredited investors. So think of how exciting it is for me to be able to discuss with people, hey, guess what I can do for you? And you don't have to be that accredited investor. So that's a really cool thing that we're doing too.
Wow. Okay. And does that have to do specifically with the Canadian laws in terms of, investing in securities or syndications that are different than states?
Yeah. So we have a whole, different law here, but essentially what we do is we work with an exempt market dealer and we're a syndicate. So we're not a fund. So we're deal specific. Okay. So as we get a deal, we create an offering memorandum and the offering memorandum can open the door. It's an offering memorandum exemption where we're able to have the non-accredited investors.
Gotcha. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. It definitely opens it up to a much bigger playing field.
And a minimum investment of $10,000 USD. So that's another kind of cool thing that we've incorporated. And everyone's like, well, that's a lot of work and this, that, and this. Well, with the amazing exempt market dealer that we're working with, we have a really cool portal that we use. Everything's paperless. We're super organized. We're super streamlined. And everything kind of just gets done. And everybody gets to, be part of something. I mean, I believe in being a kind of a big family.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, too good to be true is always the easiest, the easiest myth to kind of deflate, because all you need to do is just educate people. And I think it's a wonderful thing that you guys have done, created this platform, these, weekly webinars and the podcasts and all the stuff that you guys are doing to take care of that, leading up to real estate. And I think this is really want to get into, like, what was your, I'm taking a step back because we talked about how, obviously your real estate experience and that in finding these investors and now transitioning into obviously what seems like the most logical direction to go. But where did it start? How did you find real estate in the first place in terms of and what drove you to that passion?
That's a very good question. Funny enough, not a lot of people know this about me, but I'm from a very small city in Alberta. It's the province over.
The province over, sure.
Winnipeg? Alberta.
Oh, sorry, Calgary. All right.
I'm like, that's all the way over on the. Come on, you got to get your provinces right.
I know. I used to know all the provinces and the capitals and stuff, but it's been a long time.
So I'm from a small city. I grew up, in this community where everybody knew, liked, and trusted me. And I started my real estate career there when I was just 22 years old. And, I did really well because of this know, like, and trust. And it was real funny because I did it for years and years. And one day I got this idea, you know what, mom and dad, I want to move to a big city. There's more for me in this universe. I want to move to a big city. I want to, had all these plans. I'm going to go to Vancouver. And they all thought I was crazy. They're
Right.
like, you're insane. I packed my fashion in the back of my car and I came out to Vancouver and I didn't know a single soul out here. So funny enough, I got here, I'm all confident, I'm taking on the world, I'm going to do this, that. Sure enough, I got eat up and spit out
Wow.
right away. It was one of the most difficult things I've ever been through. Coming from a small city and trying to do the same stuff in a big city where everybody's sharks, it'll really kill you fast because it
Wow.
doesn't work like that. So what it did was it actually forced me to go through this rough time, and it forced me to reinvent myself as a businesswoman. Actually forced me to relook at myself and say, okay, now you're in the ocean. How are you going to make it here? How are you going to survive here? So that was part of a drive that kind of got me even going on to the Canadian passive investing as well.
Mm,
Opened a lot of doors because my mindset changed
right.
and I was able to really dive deep into a bigger picture. And that's kind of where real estate started and where I'm kind of at today. Went
Yeah,
through a lot of trials and
sure.
tribulations.
Absolutely. Obviously, when you have these struggles that you go through, that's what changes us. People who are strong and are driven are going to take those struggles and use them as opportunities. But obviously, it's painful when it
Yeah,
happens, and
yeah.
it's something you get knocked down. Especially you have big dreams. I can just picture, the country girl, not country, but the small town girl going to the big city. It's like, we've all seen the movies that it's overwhelming, and you get caught up, and there's so much to learn. The learning curve is way way ahead of you.
Yeah.
So how did you do that? I mean, what did you do? Did you meet people you found? Were there groups, were support groups? Did you have what was the,
Good
I don't
question.
mean like support groups like AA or anything like that. I mean like real estate, women's. I know there's a lot of real estate meetups and these kind of things where you find like-minded people, you find peers that are doing the same things as you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I'll remember there was a lot of tears. There was a lot of phone calls with a lot of tears with my family. They were come back home, come back home where you're familiar with everything. And there's just one thing in me and it's resilience. I could not quit. I'm like, listen, I know today's hard, but tomorrow's gonna be better. And if it's take a step back, I'm gonna take 3 steps forward. So it's exactly what I started doing. I started surrounding myself with good people. I started surrounding myself with people that were smarter than me. I started learning from people that were doing the ins and outs here. And I learned really quick. So that is one advice that I could give to people when things get really hard. Push that to the side, let that build you up, but take that and let it motivate you and surround yourself with incredible people because the struggle kind of disappears in the background when you're surrounding yourself with all this positive and inspiration, people that are teaching you things that you're like, wow, I want to be there one day. So it makes the process a lot easier. So that's what I did.
Absolutely. And it's not like you're now, paying it forward, giving it back in a lot of
Exactly.
ways by, helping people that may be in a similar situation, and you're showing them the road to, to success, to opportunity, which is just over the border. But, it's, it's for everyone equally. I think that's incredible. Another question for you, just kind of switching gears a little bit here. In terms of the multifamily market, I know there's been a lot of discussion recently. What's going on, the pandemic, right? All kinds of things. The markets people thought were changing. You're still heavily focused, in the United States. Are there specific markets that you have chosen in terms of the syndications? And I know you partner. We spoke this before. You partner with other groups who are, local and are experienced so that you can provide those Canadians, right, a safe place to put their investments. So maybe speak to a couple of specific markets and why you think they're still going to be a great place to invest.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're really focused on Arizona and Texas, of course, because of the job growth, population growth, the interstate migration. And you exactly said it. We wanted boots on the ground for Canadian investors to feel safe. We wanted people who had a really amazing track record.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we're working with syndicators that are doing just that. They're boots on the ground. They take care of everything. They bringing us the diamonds in the rough, and they're targeting the areas where the numbers still make sense. So we were just presented a deal last week, and it's going through underwriting, and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, we really want to make sure that there's obviously, the job growth, population growth, and everything like that. Now we target B class neighborhoods and C class assets.
Okay.
So that's kind of something that we focus on. We do the value add, we do the forced appreciation. And that's what's really cool about the rent rolls that come in when the cash flow that we're able to provide, because the numbers are just so incredible in these opportunities.
Awesome. So cash flow is definitely number one driver for this. Forced appreciation is obviously a good way to, grow that portfolio, grow the growth of the investments, adding much more to that. So for Arizona and Texas, there's job growth there. There's population growth. Obviously, there's the economies there are traditionally, right, some of the biggest economies in the country, in terms of, the growth, and in terms of the I guess what's the word I'm looking for? The stability.
Yeah.
Right. Through the last recession, right, they were two of the states that, fared off the best.
Very business friendly, landlord friendly. They have just really great in all aspects for taxes. You were teaching us some incredible, I wanted to say your cost segregation. I asked you how many people loved you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got a lot of great response from that. Thank you again for hosting me. That was a lot of fun. You guys are great hosts. So everyone should definitely check that out. We're gonna plug them again at the end. But the Canadian Passive Investing with Ava and August. Again, changing gears a little bit here, because I do want to focus on, you're speaking to passive investors, right? And you said there's this myth, right, that it's too good to be true. And this is something that I've faced. This is something that a lot of people face. And I remember speaking to family members also when I was doing a first deal. This is too good to be true. Like, how can you be promising, or projecting, not promising anything, but projecting, X amount of double-digit returns and things like that. It sounds too good to be true. And for most people, when it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. So how do you get around that? I mean, specifically, I know we talked about education, but someone says that to you, Ava, on a phone call, or you meet them up, right, in coffee. This is too good to be true. What's your response?
You know what? I literally, because everybody says this to me. This is too good to be true. Because I always started off with, allow me to wow you. And they're like, okay, wow me. And then they're like, okay, this is too good to be true. I always say, listen, when I first heard about this, I thought it was too good to be true too. So I understand right away what you're thinking in your mind. Let me take a step back and walk, holding your hand step by step, so I can get you to understand how it works. And once you understand the step by step, then you'll start understanding that, okay, wait a second, this is great. Now that's, again, where showing them past projects that have been done where the numbers have came in at those prices, right? That's another way to kind of
Absolutely.
show people, okay, look at the actual numbers, look what people actually made, and maybe speak to past investors who were receiving the cash flow.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways to kind of get them kind of on board and kind of set the mood where they're not in this it's not a dream world anymore. And that's the moment when people are wowed. That's the moment when people are excited. That's the moment when they're signing up saying, how do I get involved?
Yeah, sure. And you mentioned, even the minimum investment, $10,000, that opens it up to a lot of people. What I've found works really well, and this is just me thinking out loud here, is that you look into historically, right? Real estate has been around forever. Okay. And if you look anywhere in the world, and especially in the United States, the people who are making the most money in other businesses are putting that into real estate.
Yeah.
Okay. And the people that make the most money in real estate are, growing that wealth at a much more accelerated pace than other regular, professionals or business owners. So it's something that, you can just look at facts, you can look at statistics, you can look at history that shows you. And I'm sure there's been numbers thrown around, like 90% of the world's billionaires are from real estate, something like that. Everyone's heard that, but it's just raw numbers. You see, well, here's an opportunity for you to get involved in that way. Why not? Why wouldn't you take the opportunity?
I love that. I love that. So that's what we say. It's like, hey, why don't you invest like the top 1%?
Exactly.
We made that possible because it is so sad that you have to have deep, deep pockets or be multimillionaires to be able to invest in these opportunities and receive these great returns. Why can't everybody have a chance at this? So I
Absolutely.
like that. That's perfect example. That's what we say to people too, and that's
Well,
what creates this
that's
excitement.
why that's why we call this Weiss advice. You know, that's the
Yes.
name. The name of the show comes with the territory. Let's jump right into the final four over here. I would love to, get your answers, get your perspective on this. The first question I ask every guest is, what is the worst job that you ever had?
Well, I used to do construction, and I used to drive a tractor.
Really?
Yeah, that was the worst job. 12-hour days. I'd be covered in like dirt, and I would literally be driving something called a packer, and I would pack down dirt for residential to be built. So that was what I did when I was young, and it was the worst job. It
How
was.
did you get that? How did you get that? I'm just curious.
I was young. I was young. It made really good money, and I just went for it. I don't know, young and stupid, but I did that when I was young.
Okay, driving tractors sounds good. I mean, not good, but it sounds interesting. Second, second question for you: what is a book you've read that's given you a paradigm shift?
Yes, it's called The Extraordinary Mind by Vishen. The last name is not coming to me. I'm so sorry. But The Extraordinary Mind. It was, before you do anything in life, and I learned this, you have to really know who you are. You really have to
Hmm.
understand yourself fully every single day. So when you understand your mind, when you're in control of your mind, everything else kind of plays out just the way it's supposed to.
Wow.
So that's a really good book.
So that book describes, like, just teaches you how to get in touch with yourself,
Exactly. Yeah.
understanding your own mind and how it works.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Very
really good.
fascinating. Okay. Again, the name of the book one more time.
Oh, The Extraordinary
The
Mind.
Extraordinary Mind. Okay. We're going to put that in the show notes for anyone who wants to look into that. And third question for you: what is a skill or talent that you would like to learn?
I wish I knew how to play piano. I think it would be so incredible. So if you know anybody that wants to teach, I would love to learn how to play piano.
Amazing. Actually, my stepmother has been a piano teacher for, I don't even know how, more than 50 years. I don't know how long she's been doing it. She started actually a conservatory to teach teachers, and it has a whole like system and program out there in California where she is. So yeah, piano is definitely a beautiful instrument. It's fun to learn. Try to get my daughter to pick it up, but she
How to
she
play?
she gave it up. I don't play. I can play a few songs and stuff like that, but I never had any formal lessons or anything like that. Even though I had it in the family, I never took it. I
And
have
your
some
daughter
friends
does.
that did. My daughter took it up for a little bit, and she didn't follow through. Unfortunately, trying to get one of my other kids to take it up because it's such a beautiful thing. Music is awesome. Music is so beautiful, and I think it's fascinating to me that this question. I'd say at least 50% of the people that I asked this question to, and I've done about 100 of these interviews so far, have said the skill or talent they'd like to learn is playing a musical instrument, one or the
Yeah,
other. So that's fascinating.
incredible. It makes your mind work in ways that you never knew your mind could work. You know what I mean? And it just kind of, yeah, I love it. I really want to learn.
It's a different language, it really is, and it speaks to your emotions and to your soul also. Music is so powerful that it can really touch, you know when it's done well. Obviously it takes a long time to get to that point, to get to that level, but sounds good. Wish you success with that. If I know of any teachers that are local to Vancouver.
It's empowering just to learn. So thank you.
Very good. You can do it, yeah, if you want. Fourth and final question. Here it is. What does success mean to you?
You know what's funny? People have asked me this before, and throughout the years, and I always thought success was, doing things or making a certain amount of money, or you know what I mean. I think haven't figured it out yet because we're always learning as we grow. But success for me right now is waking up in the morning and wanting to jump out of bed because I'm that excited to whatever it is you want to do in life. It doesn't matter if it's work, if it's going to yoga, if it's hanging out with your family. When you want to jump out of bed because
Mm,
you're so excited to get up for that day, I think you've hit a level of success.
that's awesome. Love that. Great answer. And that speaks to everyone at every level. Doesn't matter what your end goal is. And that's why I
Yeah,
asked the question that way, because what it means to you means different to everyone. And I think some people are thinking, when I'm 100 years old, like, what does success mean to me? No, it's in the present right now. What is every day? How can I be successful? And I love your answer, because we can all relate to that. If you're not jumping out of bed to go and do whatever it is that you're going to do, that means you got to think twice, think over what it is that you are focused on. And if you need to, and I'm speaking to myself as well, those definitely days where it's like, I'm going to take my time just doing the same thing, going through routines, but no, got to jump out of bed and make the best of life. There was a great actually, someone I didn't know personally, but a rabbi, a great teacher who lived about, passed away about 50 years ago. He used to sleep about 2 hours a day. Okay.
Wow.
And he was a prolific thinker, a very, incredible person overall, a big giver. He used to, help people, had a whole soup kitchen in his house, a whole story. Anyways, people used to ask him, like, how do you survive on such little sleep?
Yeah.
And, 2 hours of a night is not, and he wasn't a young man. He lived until his in his 80s. How do you live off of that? And his answer was very simple. He said, I love life.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I love life. And so I don't want to sleep. Like, there's so much to do. There's so much to accomplish, so many people to help, et cetera. So I think that's an awesome perspective to have.
That's beautiful. I think that, yeah, when you're so excited and that you love life, I think that defines success.
So, Ava, where can our listeners find you or reach out to you?
All right. Well, I love LinkedIn. Ava Benesocky on LinkedIn, or Canadian Passive Investing on YouTube. You can subscribe to that, or of course, we're doing a big revamping of our website and stuff. So stay tuned for 2021 January. But CanadianPassiveInvesting.com.
CanadianPassiveInvesting.com. You heard it here first. And this is probably going to air sometime after January, but we will make sure that this that everyone gets that link in the show notes and can reach out to you. Thank you again so much for joining me, because tables have turned. I was on your podcast not long ago, your webinar, and so thank you again. It's been a pleasure getting to know a little more about you and your background, and learning about Canadian passive investing.
Thank you so much for having me. I was very excited to be part of this today, so I appreciate it.
Okay, well, yeah, definitely have to follow up, in some time later on, once you guys start making some real headway, because I think you starting, and this is a real incredible opportunity for a lot of people. So I'm excited to see where it leads you guys. And to all of our guests, thank you again for listening. And remember, the best advice comes only when you ask. Real quick, I have one question for you. Did you like this episode? If you did, I want to ask you a huge favor. See, the biggest thing that helps this podcast grow and that will spread this message to the whole world is that if you leave a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. What that does is it basically tells the platforms that this podcast is out on is that you like my stuff and I'm doing something right. So take a few seconds out of your day, hit that subscribe button, leave a rating or review. I would be extremely grateful. Also, I want to hear from you guys. So I want to hear some feedback. If you have any questions for future episodes, please find me on LinkedIn. Send me a DM, a connection request, Yona Weiss, and I'd love to hear from you.